From Acapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I'm coming in from an Apple store in Manhattan in New York. Adam Williams, past Anarchast guest. He was actually also a past Anarchapulco speaker at the last Anarchapulco, 2017. And I believe actually his speech from that will either be live or will soon be live right before or after this episode of Anarchast. So you're going to get a double dose of Adam in the next week or so with this and the Anarchapulco speech, which will be going live. But the reason I wanted to have Adam back on is because he does something called, or he has done something called the Avatar course, and he's been trying to sell me on it for a while. And as many of you know, I've been going through a lot of what you would call self-improvement related type things. I'm currently on day 5 of a fast as one small example of all the things I've been doing. And I've done all kinds of psychedelics. I've done hypnosis therapy. I've done everything. Like I'm just trying to constantly improve generally my happiness, my consciousness, my general state of affairs of Jeff Berwick in general. And it's been going absolutely awesome. But Adam keeps mentioning Avatar, and he mentioned it again to me recently. And he said, you should come. They're going to have a 2-day thing in Orlando or something like that. And my schedule didn't hook up with it exactly. But it caught enough of my attention that I said, okay, Adam, if this is so great, let's go on Anarchast and let's talk about it, because that will further possibly sell me on trying it. Adam says it is the best, purest self-development thing out there. That's generally what he says. So first of all, Adam, great to see you. And yeah, let's get into Avatar. How you been doing?
Oh, thanks so much, Jeff. Great to see you as well, man. Yeah, I've been doing great. Actually just been in New York City for the last 2 weeks. So it's been really interesting being back in the Empire after having been in the Netherlands, mostly for the last 16, 17 months. And definitely, noticing some things that have changed because I missed the transition to the Trump America. I wasn't here for that. But then a lot of stuff is the same. It's still New York City. It's still new restaurants and new places all the time, and still amazing energy. So I'll be here based until October 26th, when I fly down to, again, deliver the Avatar course in Orlando. So, yeah, I can jump right in on that. Just like yourself, I've been a massive student of personal development for many years. Probably started, 12, 13 years ago with Tony Robbins, listening to his personal power tapes and getting some information about how to be more productive and how to be better. I've always been concerned on how to be better. Always been an achievement oriented type person my entire life. And definitely as I started to create money and create some momentum early in my career a long time ago, I definitely wanted to get the extra edge, and I wanted to I've always been interested in getting as much information as possible about, just as you said, being better, being more happy, being more self-actualized. So I've had a really, winding road in terms of personal development, and in my experience, I've personally invested over $100,000 in therapies and courses and trainings, over the last, dozen or so years. The largest expense that I personally did was in relationship therapy. I did that for 6 years. Got sucked into that business model a while ago. I'm not a fan of therapy, of traditional therapies. I think that business, no offense to any therapists out there, but that business model, I think, has been corrupted like a lot of other business models by the state. And you have, a lot of therapists just getting people on SSRI medication, which doesn't help. I was at the Tony Robbins event last year at Unleash the Power Within, when I walked on fire with him. And he asked the entire group to raise their hand, and he said, how many people out there know someone who's on SSRIs and is still depressed? And there's 9,000 people in the room, and it must have been 8,500 people, raise their hand. So I'm about real solutions. I'm about solutions that allow people to become a source being. My two focuses are on creating prosperous voluntarists. I do coaching for that. I do comeback coaching. I had a lot of amazing clients in the past year and a lot of fantastic results on that. And then my other goal is to create source beings. Source being is someone who's not indoctrinated, someone who's learned how to deprogram themselves and create life from the inside out. So that's kind of the background to how I've been looking at these things. Getting into Avatar. So like I said, I've made lots of different investments, from Tony Robbins to therapy to Abraham Hicks, going to see them live, to all different types of people, reading Eckhart Tolle, reading everything I can get my hands on. My 2011 was my big crisis year. What was your big year, man? When you what was the first time that you lost kind of everything? 02 or something, or 03?
That's a good question, because I think I never properly dealt with what happened when I lost didn't lose it, but when my internet company imploded from being worth $240 million in 2000 to selling it at like $1 million or $2 in 2002. And actually a lot of that money wasn't even to me. It was just for everyone else as well, shareholders and stuff like that. So, I walked away with some money, but hardly anything, and definitely a lot less than I had a few years ago. And just having the whole thing collapse, as I'm learning with my own self-development, I'm starting to realize I never fully dealt with that, and I never fully dealt with anything, actually. So I've been just repressing so many things just for years and years and years, and it sort of fully really came to a head about 2 years ago, when I was getting quite suicidal. I was drinking a lot. I had pretty much lost a lot of hope, and it basically came down to, am I going to kill myself, or am I going to try to get better? And obviously I'm still here, so I decided to try to get better. And it wasn't easy, but it also has been completely and amazingly fulfilling. And I never could have imagined 2 years ago I'd even be where I am today. And I know I'm only about halfway there so far, so that's also quite exciting. So yeah, that was my sort of real moment of hitting bottom, I guess you could say. I had numerous businesses all collapse. I got defrauded. I ended up being bankrupt. And on top of it, I just, all my personal stuff, my, whatever it was, my depression, which was always there. I didn't even know, actually, I was depressed till about a year ago. I didn't know that was what it was, but I was. And so I had all these things that had all been repressed, and then everything all started to collapse. And it was basically just like, what do I do now? And it's one or the other, like go or stay. But if I'm going to stay, it's not going to be easy and it's going to be a lot of work, but I decided to do that. So that was really my sort of thing. And so that's why I'm quite interested in hearing more about this avatar, because the more that I find out about more of these things, I find they all have some value in certain ways. Not all of them necessarily. Like you pointed out, the therapy with the SSRI medication, I think that has very, very little value, although it could have some value in certain cases, possibly, I don't know. But in general, the more sort of outside of the box sort of things that a lot of people get into, I find in general have some value in one way or another, even if they're not perfect in one way. For example, the psychedelics, they can definitely open some doors, but they're not perfect either. Like there's some risks, and you can definitely go down some really dark paths with that stuff if you want to. But they do. That's what really broke me out of my initial sort of programming or initial sort of funk was ayahuasca and then iboga. So I have to give credit for that. I've now decided that I'm not going to use those things too often anymore, although I do still see a purpose for them. But I'm looking for more things like what you say Avatar is, and looking into them. So that's why I wanted to have you on. So continue on about what Avatar is. Great,
man. Yeah, excellent. Every time I talk to you, I see so many parallels in the two of us, just, from, the financial background and, the whole process. And you and I are both big creators. We can both create, a lot of magic, and we also can create some terror. So it's a good news for the planet that both you and I are on the light side of the force, working to help people. So that's fantastic. So yeah, my rock bottom, or my first rock bottom was 2011. So I had been really a statist up until kind of that 2010 2011 time frame. Was working on Wall Street, living in North Stamford, Connecticut, 45 minutes from here at the time, and the Federal Reserve, system changes and the bubble bursting hit me in 2010, 2011. And that's when my income went from low seven figures, which I had built it up over 10 years, to low six figures. Just air pocket, just crash. And, with where my ego was at the time and, how I identified myself with all these external things. I'm a millionaire. I'm a $1 million earner. I have $1 million house. I have German cars, blah, blah, blah. All those things. I really made a mess because I didn't have a flexible belief system. I didn't have a technology to change my beliefs to match the changes happening. So fortunately, my higher self created Avatar course for me to be introduced to in August of 2012. I actually met my Avatar master the day before the Stanford course happened. They only had one course in Stanford, Connecticut, I think, ever. And, it actually was happening in the hotel while I was working. I was working in a derivatives trading firm at the time, and it's at the top of a hotel that used to have a spinning ran on top in Stamford, Connecticut. There was a few law offices there, and my derivatives trading firm, a couple other technology firms, and just met my master, and she invited me for an info hour. And she tells me later, after about 20 minutes of the info hour, I looked over to her and I said, "You guys take credit cards?" Because it was exactly what I wanted. So the course has been around for 30 years. It's not a new type of deal. They have over 500,000 thank you letters for people, over those 30 years. I was just at the largest course ever. Just this past July, we had over 1,000 people at the course. And Avatar is basically the place where you have the most kind, compassionate, loving, aligned team of people working together for the most simple goal. And the most simple goal is world peace and raising consciousness in each person, one person at a time. So when I say it's the most powerful, purest self-development available, it's what I mean by that is that everything is about learning or understanding the lessons that are already in your own consciousness. So Avatar is not about coaching. It's not about advice, anything like that. We, the Avatar Masters, simply serve as guides, helping people to understand the Avatar tools and be able to use them in their lives. I use them every day. I always use these tools to keep myself in a high state. People all the time on Facebook and in our voluntarious community that you and I are building and a part of, people say, "Adam, you're so positive. Adam, you're so positive. Adam, you have great energy." And I've always been a very energetic person, but in terms of staying on a high vibration, that's something that I've been able to master with these tools. And like you said, all different trainings going to have some value for different people at different times. I use my weightlifting tools to create muscles. That's different. I use my Avatar tools to create happiness and spiritual awakening. So how it works is it's a 9-day course. There's an international course in Orlando every 3 months. So January, March, July, and either October or November. Starts on those. The next course is October 28th, beginning in Orlando, which I'll be delivering. I actually just decided to raise up and take responsibility for a larger role within the course. So I will be at every single international course. So I'll be there every 3 months. As you might have seen, Jeff, my sister had a baby a few months ago, and I became an uncle. So she's out in California. So I have an awesome plan to do Amsterdam, Los Angeles, Orlando, kind of a little triangle for the next year or two while I'm still based in the Netherlands. It was really magic, being in Anarchapulco and speaking this year. Just so grateful for that opportunity that you and Nathan offered me. Created some Avatar students from that. A lot of fertile ground in the anarchist community. People that have already rejected so many beliefs about statism and want to get more information about how to create deliberate beliefs and discreate beliefs that don't work. So one really thing I want to hammer on, Jeff, is that Avatar is a technology to both create and discreate beliefs. So it's actually a technology to, like that. Remember that movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Mind with Jim Carrey, where they're deleting memories. It's a bit like that. So You learn tools. We work together in groups. We have an amazing Sangha. Sangha is a spiritual family of people all over the world that understand these tools and assist each other. So it's really technology to be able to create the reality that you prefer.
Interesting, all these sort of things. How would you sort of compare the Avatar course to other things? So you've said you've tried, Anthony Robbins' sort of a approach. I actually watched his most recent sort of movie, which was on Netflix, and I thought it was quite good. Yeah, I thought it was quite good, and I thought it was quite inspirational. And I'm actually going to get one of those little cold pools that he jumps into, because I'm totally into all this kind of stuff now. So I'm working on building a house right now, and it's going to have a sauna, a steam room, and a cold pool like what Anthony Robbins does. So you just jump in the morning, it's ice cold, sort of like the Iceman sort of a thing. I do all these kinds of things now, and it's been amazing. But, what would you say to people out there? Like, how do you compare this to some of the other things that you've seen out there?
Sure. Yeah, excellent question. So what makes Avatar Course different is we deal with spiritual consciousness as well. So have you heard of a book called Power versus Force by Dawkins?
Yeah, I think I read it.
Yeah, it talks about a scale of consciousness. He has a numerical scale from 0 to 800 in that book. And
I read that book. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, 800 is like Jesus and Buddha and people like that. The derelict on the street is, at level 10. And so that's one scale to look at consciousness, the way he describes it. Harry Palmer, who's still alive and my Facebook friend, and he wrote the Avatar course. I'm looking forward to meeting him in person at some point. He doesn't come to the courses as much as he used to because he's an older man. And so there's videos of him often now. He does speak once a year at the Wizards course, which is the Super Bowl of consciousness, like 4,000 or 5,000 people from 70 countries, happens once a year. So I go to the Wizards course every year in February. I'll be there right before Anarchapulco this coming year. So I'll be doing both. Anyway, so Harry Palmer describes a scale of consciousness in just 3 stages. So we have animal consciousness. This is the type of consciousness that humans have access to. Animal consciousness, then intellectual consciousness, then spiritual consciousness. So I got 3 questions for you, Jeff. So what are the 3 questions that an animal can answer?
That it can answer.
Yeah. Think of it, any animal. What are the 3 questions that an animal can answer?
Are you hungry?
Okay, number 1 is, can I eat it? Good job.
What else? Does it hurt?
It hurts. Can it eat me is number 2. I'll give you that one. What's number 3? What else does an animal need to do?
I don't know. My chihuahuas just basically sleep after that. I don't know what's the 3rd one.
How about to continue the species?
Right. Yeah, all my dogs are neutered, so it hasn't been too much of that in my house. I forgot about that one. I feel bad about that, by the way. The whole neutering thing, I'm not sure how to feel about it, but I do know that if we had 5 dogs and they're all just having sex all the time, there'd be too many puppies around. But I still feel bad about the whole situation. I just have to say that.
Cool. So that's the spectrum of animal consciousness. Okay. Can I eat it? Can it eat me? And can I mate with it? All right. And if you look at humanity, so again, my teacher in this topic is Harry Palmer, and he postulates that about 50% of humanity operates at the level of animal consciousness the majority of the time. Here's an example of an animal consciousness beer commercial. It tastes good. It won't hurt you, and it makes you look sexy. Right? So the powers that shouldn't be understand, these different levels of consciousness, and they use this stuff against us. So intellectual consciousness is the area where most trainings are. That's where Tony Robbins is. Have you heard of Landmark Forum? You've heard of Landmark before? So Landmark is another training that is quite popular. I haven't done it myself, but that's one that a lot of people do know about. Tony Robbins, other trainings like that, and those whether they're NLP trainings, which is neuro-linguistic programming, or other areas, those are operating in the level of intellect. So debating and thoughts and rationalizations and all these things are in the level of intellect. The highest level of consciousness, and Harry postulates that about 40 to 45% of people operate at the level of intellectual consciousness. Okay, so that's all your debate and statism and this and that and left and right and all that stuff is all, you know, intellectual consciousness. The highest level of consciousness where I'm working to live, you know, the majority of my life is the level of spiritual consciousness. That's the highest vibration that we're capable of. That's empathy, compassion, benevolence, service, and personal responsibility and serving other people. So that's what, you know, Avatar touches on and teaches about. Throughout the course of the Avatar path, there's, you know, so many, you know, so much information and amazing writing. I would put Harry Palmer up there with, you know, some of the top spiritual writers, you know, that you know, I've ever read. And what's amazing about the course is that you get more out of it by doing the course. So you'd have an incomplete experience by reading the books, not doing the courses, or by doing the course, not reading the books. So when they work together, you have both a word and world experience. Okay, so a word lesson, something that you hear, something that you read. That's a word lesson. A world lesson is an experience. That's much more powerful than a word lesson, something you actually go through. So Avatar combines both the word lessons and the world lessons for an amazing, you know, experience for the student, and a community of people that's growing, that's getting larger. Again, I was just at the largest course ever. And yeah, just something that really means a lot to me, that I see helping many people. The last thing I want to leave you on this, answer the question, was a moment that I had at the last course in July. I had 4 students there, and, you know, again, we work as a team. On the second day, the first 2 days are called resurfacing. Okay, so that's section 1, and that's where you go through the first 30 exercises of the deal. Allows people to you know, test out the Avatar course and have an experience at a very low cost. It only costs $295 for the first 2 days, so, you know, very affordable for people to have an experience. And there was just a beautiful moment when I was working with my student who I met at Anarchapulco, who became a coaching client and is now going to be finishing his Avatar journey in October. He's already got his flights for that, and will be becoming an Avatar. Will be my 5th Avatar that I've created. Created a lot of people that did resurfacing and 5 people that have gone through all the courses. So, you know, 5 lives I've really impacted at a big level, and one person's become a wizard like me. He's done all the courses. Just a beautiful moment where I was doing the release and fixed attention exercise, which is an exercise to release that fixed attention that we get to feeling stuck, feeling, you know, not able to move forward, you know, stuck attention on an issue. I can't wait to do it with you on your 2002 issues one day soon. And I had my student working with me and 2 other Avatar masters working with my 2 other students, because we have individual attention. We all work together. It was just so beautiful. These people, you know, really feeling their feelings, not drugging, not avoiding, not suppressing, not any of these other things, feeling their feelings, understanding, integrating, having a realization, and being able to put it behind them. So that when I say it's the most powerful, purest self-development course available, that's what I mean.
That's interesting what you just said about feeling your feelings. That's something that I've just started to learn how to do. And it was, you know, with our culture and with my own personal family upbringing, which was no one talked to anyone. There was no feelings even really allowed. It was just, you know, shut up, you know, do what you're told, no showing of love or anything. So I didn't know how to even show or even feel anything really. And I went through most of my life like that. And only in the last year or so, as I've been doing a lot of these things, have I realized that's something you should be trying to do, is feel your feelings. I didn't even know that, right? Like that's how sort of, you know, our culture, and you don't teach you this in school. It's not on TV or anything. You know, you got to go out there and do this stuff kind of on your own still to this point, or at least now we have the internet, so it's a lot easier, so you can find this information. But yeah, so just even the other day, I was in, we were trying to meet up in Philadelphia, but you couldn't make it. I was doing my Bitcoin all the way up in front of the Fed. And I actually went back home to the hotel room one night, and I was feeling a little bit depressed. I get that way sometimes when I'm traveling. I don't like going back to the hotel room by myself. It's probably some sort of abandonment or loneliness sort of issues from probably my childhood or something like that. And that's stuff I'm still working on. But I just went back, and instead of drinking a lot to get rid of that feeling, which is what I would always do in the past, I just went back and felt it. And it was really uncomfortable, but it was good. It was like, okay, just breathe through those feelings and let those feelings happen. You know, I didn't even realize that was something you should be doing. And going back to what you brought up about, I think his name's Harry Palmer, wrote the book Power versus Force. I remember reading that book, and it was really good. And I thought it was a very anarchist book, because what he was talking about is power, which is sort of like more like the power of your energy and convincing people voluntarily to do things and leading them and stuff like that, versus force, which is basically what government is. And I actually went, as soon as I finished reading the book, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I went immediately online, and I was trying to contact the author, because I'm like, I have to have him on Anarchast. That book is a totally anarchist book. And I found out, I believe he did pass away a few years ago. Is that right?
Yeah.
But I kind of got the message back, and I was like, oh, it sucks. I just found out about this guy. And but anyway, the book's great if anyone hasn't read it out there. Power versus Force. I thought it was really good. So with the Avatar course, you mentioned that you're a wizard, which is kind of a weird word, but maybe you can explain why they call them wizards. But did that take you more, like you mentioned before that there's a 9-day course. Is that the whole course, or is that like a beginner, or what's the...
So there's 4 main parts to the Avatar path. So the first 9 days is the Avatar course. So that's where you learn how to be a friend to yourself. Okay, so that's where you become an avatar. And at the end of the Avatar course, when you have your initiation and you graduate and get announced in front of the rest of the Sangha, you have mastered the first part of the process. Then then the next course is the Avatar Master course. So then you become a master, and you're able to teach other people. Okay, so it's just like a Jedi. It's like Jedi. You have Jedi Knight, and the different areas, kind of the same thing. And so the master's course is another 9 days, and that's where you really learn how to be a friend to others. Okay, and really learn how to really serve and help other people. Then you have the professional course, which is a leadership course. And then finally, you have the wizard's course. And the wizard's course is where you learn how to really take responsibility for the planet. And you learn how to take responsibility for the evolution of mankind overall. So it's a path of courses. They build on each other. It's a series of skills and of understanding that build on the next one. And then you go back into your life and test out, what you've learned and see how, when you start acting differently, how everyone around you starts to act differently. And it's a beautiful process. So the reason why they call it the wizard course is because, wizardry is the ability to be able to create the reality that you prefer and to be able to be in alignment with other people, to be kind, to be in integrity. These are all the focuses of the course, which again is about compassion, serving other people, which is the definition that we use of spirituality, is service to others, as well as personal responsibility. So it's just a series of courses that starts with the Avatar course. There's also something called Fast Track, which is what I did, 5 years ago, and is available for people who want to do. I guess there's a lot of people that come from overseas. Again, the course I was just at in July had people from, I believe, 55 countries. So it's just amazing having people from Israel and Iran, and the U.S. and all in the same room, all, operating from love, all operating from increasing their understanding and working together. So for people who want to really go fast, you can do the Avatar and the Master's course both at the same time. Previous to just before the Master's courses, Avatar offers a fast track ability. So you do a total of 16 days, roughly, instead of 18, and you can do that with one plane trip.
Wow, so it's really not a ton of time to go through all of this stuff.
No. I mean, yeah, amazing. I did everything in like 4 or 5 months. I got there. It made sense. It immediately. I mean, people who knew me before and after Avatar, they said aspects of my personality changed like 85%. Okay, like I just completely stopped doing things I was doing. I was just like you, man. I had a lot of issues. I had issues from childhood, issues from things that happened, and I was, working with all sycophants, on Wall Street and all people that me, and selfish. And I was there for the whole bubble. I was making more money every single year. My goal was to be a millionaire at 30. I missed it. It was 31, and I was doing whatever I wanted for a long time. And I definitely hurt, people on the way. But the good news is no matter where we are, we can start from today and we can move forward with love and compassion. And we can help other people and build businesses and revenue streams that align with our integrity.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you had a goal of being a millionaire by the time you were 30. I had the exact same goal when I was 12 years old or 14. It was between 12 and 14 years old. I remember actually making that decision. I'm like, I will be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. And the day I was 30, I was worth over $100 million. Then 2 years later, I was worth almost nothing again. But it is interesting when you make these sort of goals, isn't it, that you quite often can achieve them. And that's one sort of thing. Yeah, like I don't know if you get into this law of attraction sort of stuff, but I think that's quite interesting. Like, I think there is stuff to all this stuff. And if we can learn better how to deal with our issues, then we can better achieve the goals that we want. And those goals will also change from just being something like I want to be a millionaire to I want to help the world sort of a thing. If as you improve, your consciousness as well, right?
100%. And I know you just met Mark Passio in Philadelphia. He's a huge mentor of mine and person whose work I really appreciate so much. And the way I look at the Avatar course is completely in alignment with natural law, which is what Mark Passio teaches, and all of the information there, and non-aggression principle, self-principle, completely all matches up. But while a Mark Passio presentation is a word lesson where you can watch the video and you can really get educated, Avatar course is the next step of, okay, well, now I've learned this information. Now, how do I really integrate it into my life? And how do I have tools where I can live in accordance with natural law and non-aggression principle, all the time? And that's what Avatar.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm so happy to meet Mark Passio for the first time in person. He's one of my sort of, I have a sort of a short list of people that I really, really like, I really respect. And that'd be people like Ron Paul, Mark Passio, Larkin Rose. There's probably a few others, but those are the three off the top of my head. So I've met two of them now. I've interviewed Ron Paul, but I've never met him in person. He's going to be at the Nexus conference next week that I'll be at. So hopefully meet him in person. Yeah. Yeah. So, really happy to meet him, and he's going to be speaking. He agreed anyway when I was in Philadelphia to speak at Anarchapulco 2018. So super looking forward to that. And I'm also quite interested now in the Avatar. Now that I understand it a bit more, and I really like the fact that it doesn't take a ton of time. When you first told me 9 days, that was a few months ago, and back then 9 days seemed impossible. It still seems a little out of reach, but I like the fact that there's like a 2 day sort of a starter. So if I do the 2 day and I'm like, oh my God, I got to do more of this, then great. And if I don't, then I don't, right? And so I like that. So is there anything coming up that are the 2 day course that you know of? And I'll also let people know about the 9 day, just so people know about what's coming up.
Yeah, sure. You can just go online. The schedule's right there. It's just www.theavatarcourse.com. And it's right there under schedule of courses. So I can just pull it up real quick while I can tell you about what's coming up next. While I'm doing that, I know that for sure the next international course is October 28th through November 5th in Orlando. And then there'll be another one, in January. Yeah, man, Martin Passio is just amazing. And I was actually there at his natural law presentation in October of 2013. So that was in Connecticut. And actually, my friend invited me. So that 9-hour presentation, which has a lot of views now, and people look at it as just really amazing training. I actually saw the majority of that. So I can tell you now. So the courses coming up in the States. We've got courses all around the world. So again, you can just look at the schedule, and here to tell you in the States real quick coming up. Just read you one little blurb here. So the Avatar course is available throughout the year at locations spread around the world. We invite you to come and learn the tools of Avatar in a safe, comfortable, caring environment, fostering international compassion and peace. This setting promotes deep connections beyond all boundaries of culture, religion, race, or age. Establish lifelong friendships as you explore consciousness with your new diverse worldwide community. discover for yourself the magic of Avatar and experience the synergy of many people just like you, learning and growing together with a common purpose. So the regional courses, we have one in Minnesota. That's September 16th that starts. And yeah, for the rest of the year, it's just that one for America. We just have 2 courses left. So we got Minneapolis in September 16th, and we have Lake Erie starting October 28th. Then Fast Track, there is one more opportunity for Fast Track. That's November 18th start date, because there's a master's course right after that. So you got 3 choices, three chances to get involved in the States this year. There's courses all over the world in different parts. Those are different teams, but you can always just contact me, and I can get you the information that you need. Anyone who's interested. And
the Fast Track one, that's the 2-day one?
No, Fast Track is for people who want to become a master, who want to do 16 days altogether. Okay. So the 2-day one.
What's the 2-day one?
Each Avatar course is 9 days. Section is 3 sections. Section 1 is $295. It's 2 days. Section 2 is 5 days. It's $500. And Section 3 is where you have your initiation with your Avatar master. That's $1,500. So it's $2,295 to become an Avatar, and that takes 9 days. I've had 2 of my students. They did Section 1, started Section 2, finished the next year. Totally possible. You can break it up. Whatever's we're totally customizable to work with people's schedules and budgets.
That's great. All right, I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into the 2-day, and I'll keep my schedule open too. If I really love it, I'll just stay for the rest of it, and if not, I'll.
Speaking of, there's something that was in my mind I wanted to say, and I just came back. So when I was maybe it was the 3rd time I was with Passio, and I hadn't met Larkin Rose yet. I reached out to Larkin, many years ago to try to create a friendship with him, and now we do the good anarchist, bad anarchist videos together. We're actually just talking about doing the next episode soon. And I said to Mark Passio, because I was showing him the Avatar little handout, I said, it's my dream is to have you and Jeff Berwick and Larkin Rose together as my students in the Avatar course. And right away, Mark Passio said, if you get Larkin Rose there, I'll be there. So it's all coming together, all these things that we say, that we don't know how we do. wasn't even really friends with you at that point, several years ago, and I am now. So
well, I'll double that up. I'll say I'll pay for Larkin because I know he's always a little light on cash. I'll pay for Larkin if he wants to go, and if he goes and Mark Passio goes, I'll go. So there we go. We've got the deal. I think we're pretty close. We just got to figure out the time and place, and we'll do it.
Sounds good, man. Excellent.
Awesome. So we'll put the links to the Avatar course down below. And is there anything else you're up to that you want to let people know?
Yeah, sure. So my main 2 deals are I'm a coach and I'm a guide. So Avatar course is the guidance. That's adventure guide. Again, not coaching, not advice, just everything I mentioned in this interview, compassion and love, and guiding you through your own exploration. The other thing I do is coaching and is advice for people who are looking to make a change. So I'm a comeback coach, which has been great. Really have been enjoying that, and several of my clients have now are working on the Avatar path because they want more. But the coaching is online. We do that over the phone, so you don't have to come to the course. We talk on the phone. So how the comeback coaching works is I help liberty-minded people get drastically unstuck and flowing into better shape and spirit through one-on-one coaching and group support. So we also have a private group of all the clients that are there. So that's another vehicle if you're looking for how to really become a more prosperous voluntarist, where you can travel, you've got things under control, you're as invisible to the state as possible, and all these things are working so that you can maximize your liberty and freedom. I also do coaching.
That's great. We'll put the links to that down below as well. And I'll probably be seeing you again at Anarchapulco 2018 coming up. So that's February 15th to 18th. And Larkin Rose will be there, and Mark Passio will be there. I'll be there. A lot of people will be there. So we'll play the trailer to that after this episode. And if you like this video, please, as always, like, subscribe, share down below, especially if there's anyone out there who's sort of a little bit lost right now, a little bit trying to find themselves, looking for something to get themselves out of a rut a little bit, things like that. Send them this video. Maybe it'll help them. And that's how you actually help the the world. It's really easy, just little likes and shares and telling people about stuff that you find along the way, and that's how you help. So please, if you like this video, just like and subscribe and to the channel and share it. That's how we can get this information out to more people. And if I do the Avatar course, I'll definitely let you know if I liked it or if I hated it or anything. Whatever happens. But I'll let people know what I thought of it. And I definitely will if Larkin and Mark want to do it. I'll definitely go with them. That'd be great just to hang out with them for a couple of days anyway. So it's a two for one for me. So that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
In a world where Antifa riots in the city streets, cops rage out of control, and the leader of the free world is a fat-ass casino owner, one event stands alone to make anarchy great again.
I actually love humanity. That is why I'm an anarchist.
Backwards in the building like we the ceiling, we illin'. No matter who find it appealing, I'm here and I got a feeling that we'll be dealing a lot of pain with a penicillin. Get drilled in your head that we are monsters, and yeah, we come from the slums, and for months we've been pumped, but for once I am now comfortable. I want to grow, I want some more success, and I want to know that greatness can't be rushed, can't be lust, so face the bus. Feel free to hate on us, we lace them up. Dudes, we done paid them up. Keep snakes away from us and safe from us, you might wanna be. Remember when clowns used to make fun of me and now they wanna be me? See me and they run at me, I'm gonna be the greatest, yeah I wanna be, but I am not the one to be the fakest for the sake of being played. I'm here like I never left, said to hell, nah, cause I can't just fail, so just prepare your ears, it'll get for real. Okay, from here, we will never take the sale, it's grind time. My mind and my thoughts, my highs and my faults, my wins and my loss, when will I fall off? It's a chance for me, you are now listening to Veracity. Yeah.
Fuck the media, fuck the banks, fuck drone strikes, fuck tanks, fuck hunger, fuck war, fuck ignoring of the poor, fuck the left, fuck the right, fuck the government. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.